Look at this profile. Notice the snout, the eyes, and the overall shape of the head. This is the biological baseline, the functional anatomy of the wolves that all modern dogs descended from. Over time, the relationship between humans and canines moved away from utility. We stopped valuing dogs as hunters or protectors and began treating them as strictly aesthetic companions. Breeding for appearance is fine as long as it respects the limits of nature. However, modern breeders often push past those biological boundaries to maximize a specific perception of cuteness. This pursuit of cute traits has led to the intentional cultivation of severe genetic deformities. Much of what the public considers adorable is actually a visible sign of a failing biological system. Our demand for quirky pets has turned chronic biological dysfunction into a celebrated industry standard. We can track this collapse starting at the skull, using the Bull Terrier as a primary case study for cranial distortion. A century ago, this breed still possessed a proportionate snout and a functional skull structure. Today, that anatomy has been replaced by a continuous, boomerang-shaped head. Manipulating the bone structure this aggressively shifts the entire face. The eyes are now permanently pointed towards the sky, forced out of their natural alignment. This distortion moves from the bone to the airway when we look at the pug. Selectively breeding for a flat face physically compresses the internal nasal cavity until the skull resembles a crushed tin can. This compression forces the dog into a lifetime of impaired breathing. Regardless of the environment, a pug must constantly struggle to draw air through a restricted, collapsed airway. We have rebranded respiratory failure as a personality trait, sentencing these animals to a life of perpetual suffocation for our own amusement. The audit continues downward, moving from the skull to the musculoskeletal system of the Dachshund. The historical proportions of this breed allowed for actual ground clearance and a supported spine. The modern version features a heavy, doorstop-shaped torso, supported by tiny, disproportionate legs that offer almost no biomechanical advantage. This is a physically punishing hybrid, an attempt to combine a dog's appeal with a ferret's shape, resulting in a frame that cannot properly support its own weight. Beyond the skeleton, selective breeding eventually compromises the animal's neurological stability, as seen in the Chihuahua. This breed acts as a concentration of pure neuroticism. By stripping away standard temperaments, breeders have left behind a creature defined by frantic, unwarranted aggression. This manufactured volatility is so extreme that the animal's baseline behavior is often indistinguishable from a late-stage rabies infection. Even its physical output feels like a manifestation of this internal stress, resulting in a biological signature that is far more toxic than its small size suggests. Extreme breeding leaves behind a broken creature, one where the skeletal frame, the walk, and the very mind of the animal have been fractured. If we look past the individual breeds, we can see the broader impact of our relentless intervention in canine genetics. Humanity has overwritten the functional biology of the wolf, replacing natural survival mechanisms with living monuments to our own vanity. We should stop using the word cute to describe animals that have been intentionally engineered to be deformed. Identifying these pets as the genetic monstrosities they are is the only way to address the systemic biological suffering living right beneath our noses.